everyone. It's Joe and Lauryn, and we are back with some super exciting news. Slayer have reunited. They said it wasn't going to happen. Everybody said it wasn't going to happen. It's happening. They're playing 2 shows. It's super exciting. We're here to talk all about it, break down the news, tell you what's going on, tell us our reaction, what was going on behind the scenes here when we found out the news. It's a pretty funny story, actually. And then we're going to get into some of the stuff that's been going on with Slayer and Kerry King and everyone since the farewell tour and get you up to speed. Super exciting stuff. Lauryn, we also have very exciting news real quick. Sorry, everyone. From the merch store, we've got a brand new item, don't we?
Yeah, we have a phone case, which is super exciting. So that's currently 15% off. And so are t-shirts and hoodies. We extended our President's Day sale. That's not going to last. So go take advantage of that. But the phone case is brand new addition to the merch store. So we're really excited about it. But anyway.
All right. So let's talk about this. What are the first 2 shows that Slayer are going to be playing in 2024? Their very first shows since the reunion.
My heart is still palpitating from the news. Okay, so they're playing Riot Fest, which is going to take place September 22nd. Well, their performance is taking place on the 22nd. And then a couple days later, they're going to be playing Louder Than Life Festival in Kentucky. So insane. We got a little while to mentally prepare for that. But I don't think any of us really entirely saw this coming. I mean, at least not today. But in the long run,
Definitely
this isn't
not
something that any of us saw coming. So crazy day.
Yeah, because Kerry just announced the solo album, so like this is kind of the last thing that I think was on everybody's mind. It was the last thing that was on my mind. We got the news a few minutes early, and I was like, all right, let's get the festival stuff like prepped. It was like, we've got Slayer and Motley Crue and Slipknot and Korn. All right. Wait, Slayer?
I was like, hold on a second. Hold on. What do you mean Slayer? I thought you meant Kerry King at first. So I was like, all right, pick a Kerry King. And then all of a sudden it was like, no. This is actually Slayer's back. It's just a casual drop in the lineup announcement. So that was freaking wild. So we went into hyperdrive mode. I'm talking 15 minutes we had to prepare this thing. And yeah, so needless to say, my Apple Watch was tracking a bit higher of a heart rate than typical when I'm chilling and sitting down writing a story. So it's just been crazy. Sometimes we find stuff out early, but this was not really the case. Like I said, 15 minutes we had about. So we're just as shocked
like
as you guys.
The lineup is going to be Kerry King, Tom Araya, Gary Holt, and Paul Bostaff. It was the same lineup that's been touring for the last few years before the farewell. They all did the farewell tour together. So that is the lineup that has returned. And let's talk about a few of the reasons why this surprised all of us in the metal community. First, Kerry King just announced a week or 2 ago his brand new solo album, his brand new lineup for his solo band. It includes Mark Osegueda from Death Angel, who sounds awesome on the single Idle Hands. It's got Kyle Sanders from Hell Yeah on bass, and Paul Bostaff is back behind the drums once again. So like that's a really cool lineup. They're going to be touring with Lamb of God and Mastodon.
It's not out of the ordinary for an artist to do a solo thing and a band thing at the same time, but he literally said to Rolling Stone that he hasn't spoken to Tom Araya. He hasn't gotten a single text, a single email. I don't know if they somehow happened to... Yeah, no, it's not possible. There's no shot that in the last week that just changed all of a sudden. So I don't know. We all got bamboozled a bit.
Hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray.
And I feel a little bit punked, but it's all for the best.
Yeah, I think that is possibly the art of the lie when it comes to doing press. And when you have a secret to keep, you just play dumb and pretend like everything that you've said before is still that's the course. And when it's time to reveal it, then of course that's when everybody's going to talk about it. Like a lot of people knew that Guns N' Roses, the classic lineup, well, not the full classic lineup, but that Slash and Duff were going to be coming back. I remember asking Miles Kennedy, we're like, how did you keep that a secret? And he's like, it's easy. Don't tell anyone. That's really about it. Is just, keep your mouth shut until it's time to talk about something. And these guys have been doing this for a very, very, very long time. I'm sure this was quite coordinated. But did not see that coming, especially after what Kerry had said about Tom, that they haven't spoken. Maybe they're talking through managers or something like that. But they are hardly the first band where some members, very publicly don't get along super well. Look at the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, Mick and Keith are like they said that they're not friends, they're more like brothers, so they fight like brothers, but yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, System of a
The
Down, they're
Who.
another example. Yeah, there's tons of bands who the members seem like they don't really get along, but then you put them back together on a stage and all is typically well, typically.
And it's important because the music has to live on, right? And we all, everybody's been wanting Slayer back ever since they stepped off stage for the last time. But it always comes back to the music and the legacy. And maybe you think you want to retire in that moment. And I'm sure everyone was very heartfelt about that. I mean, Carrie said that they retired too early. It was really Tom wanted to retire, and he said collect his pension. I remember talking
Yeah.
to him at Chicago Open Air about that. And he was ready, and everybody can be ready at that time and think so, and then you're allowed to have your feelings change.
You have to also take into consideration that somebody who spends their entire career traveling, making music, getting back on the road, and having this kind of very fast paced musical lifestyle, when you just stop that, I mean, we don't know what he's been doing this whole time, but he might have gotten bored. I feel like my dad just retired a few months ago and he's already like doesn't know what to do with himself. So I feel like it just if you feel like you got it, maybe a break was enough, and maybe you're just you're re-energized and you're ready to get back out there and go out there again. And we don't know if this is like a full-blown like gonna release new music, gonna go on tour type of reunion. These are the only two shows that have been announced, and this is all we know about it so far. So we don't really have anything about that other than Kerry King just saying that they want to get back up on stage, they miss their fans, and that's pretty much what it is. So
And yeah, and if that's all it is every year we get maybe 2 or 3 Slayer festival headlining performances, like I'm fine with that. The band doesn't need to go tour the world if they don't want to. I know for Tom it was a really big struggle. He talked to Loudwire about this, that for sleeping at night it's really difficult for him because he needs a CPAP machine to help with sleeping. So he's really like taking a series of short naps while he's on tour. He's only sleeping for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, maybe doing it a couple times throughout the day when he's able to, or you get off the bus and you're in a hotel and now you could finally get some sleep. That's not fun, especially when you've done that you've played, how many thousands of shows or whatever. And to have to keep doing that and compromise your lifestyle in such a serious way, like we all know how we get when we don't sleep. It's not good. It's ugly. Never mind being away from all your creature comforts at home and all the things that make you feel comfortable and secure, and you're out on the road, you're eating whatever food there is, you can't pick your food. Sure, you get a tour rider and all that, but it's not the same as being home. And that can be really rigorous. And for anybody to say that Tom should or like has a responsibility to, if anybody starts to talk like that, no. He put in the time. He did this for a few decades. And we should just be willing to take whatever Slayer is going to give us.
yeah, and so it was funny looking back on it. Rob Zombie was one of the people back in 2018 after they announced that it was going to be their farewell tour. He said like this is not going to be a permanent thing, and I think a lot of us were they've been away for almost 5 years. By the time they play their shows this fall, it'll have been just about 5 years since they've been on stage together. So I think a lot of people were really convinced for a while that that was it. But, as we've seen with Motley Crue and we've seen with plenty of other bands that have announced their farewell, their retirement, and then they come back a couple years later.
It's what every band does, and it's what we expect every band to do. At this point, we don't have the expectation that any band that retires is actually going to retire unless something serious happens to one of the members in the lineup or something like that. But it's okay to have a band go away and say that they were going to retire, and it makes us miss that band a lot. And maybe we took it for granted that we could always see Slayer every 18 months, maybe it was, or something like that. And now everybody's missed Slayer. So this is going to be a really big deal. I've missed Slayer a lot. It's been, half a decade went by really, really fast. And I'm really excited for all the young fans that got into Slayer and became a Slayer fan after the band retired. Now they get to see Slayer. They get to see the band everybody's talking about, the most menacing of the big four bands. Of all the big four bands, they've stayed the most true to kind of like the original sound that they wanted to do. They always stayed incredibly heavy, pushed a lot of boundaries where everybody else went a little bit more in the radio direction during the 90s, which is fine. Everybody's allowed to make the music that they want to make. But if you like stuff super fast and super evil and super heavy, then Slayer are definitely your band.
Now there's also a potential for the big four shows to happen again, because that was kind of like some of the other artists have talked about you know, they'd be down for it as long as Slayer comes back. But a lot of people didn't think Slayer would come back. And and I saw some comments before. I did see like one or two people just briefly scamming through the comments. Someone said that, you know, they're not supportive of this move because it's some people just get upset about it. They get bitter and they get all upset because they spent a lot of money to go to one of the final shows. But then somebody else was countering that and saying, listen, now the people who never got a chance to see them get to see them. So I am one of those people. I think it would be cool to finally get to see them after all this time.
Let's do like some speculation here. Do you think we're going to get new music from Slayer? Carrie said he has like a whole nother album basically already written, and everything he said about his solo stuff, he's like, it sounds like Slayer because I'm the guy in Slayer and that's the kind of music I make. And I've heard the album. It's good. So it sounds, it's as advertised, I would say. So I feel like he's right in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Slayer's last album, 2015, Repentless. I don't know, because I don't know if maybe by the time they were finished touring with that, they knew they weren't going to release new music, and then they announced their final tour and they were like, okay, like this is it, or what the case was. Maybe they just didn't have the heart to make new albums anymore. As of right now, I think it kind of just seems like they want to take it slow. Like Motley Crue, again, to reference them, that they just spent a while touring behind their already existing hits and everything. And I mean, they did pretty well on that tour. So they saw that a lot of people, there's demand to keep seeing them. Whether there's demand for new music isn't always necessarily the case. Some people just would prefer to see a band as a legacy act and continue on touring their existing discography. But I don't know. I think it's a little too soon to tell. My mind can't even comprehend that right now just because of the day that we've had since this news dropped. So what do you think?
I think, yes. And maybe it's a song, maybe it's an EP. How often do you see bands really reuniting without the bands that were still really actively recording? It's not like they were only releasing an album once every 15 years. But I think as long as there's a desire to play on stage, there's going to be a desire to create, because that's who these people are. They're musicians. That is what they do. They create and they perform and they entertain. Like that's their purpose in life, let's say. I'm sure everybody feels that who is a creative person. And to just be able to turn that switch off, I don't know if there's an off switch for that kind of thing. I really don't. I see this being something that's going to be active for the next few years. Would you come back for just 2 shows in 1 year?
I mean, they could always go the Guns N' Roses route too, and release stuff that they didn't release previously. Maybe like some songs that already existed that they didn't put on albums, and maybe it's kind of like, all right, like here's a treat. Here's a little serious fucking treat for that they want to like share something, so they have something to advertise as new as part of the performance. I don't know. I don't think that they have to do that, but I think that could be something cool.
Yeah, we could get music that is new to us, not necessarily new.
Yeah.
So like created in the reunion era. It's very weird to be talking about like reunion era Slayer now. Like there's very distinctly 2 eras. I mean, there's a lot of eras depending on how you want to break it up with lineups, but it's always going to be reunion and pre-reunion.
It does really feel like it's been a lifetime. Yeah. It feels like it's been a lifetime since they said goodbye.
Pantera are back. Like, let's talk about that. So, if everybody thought, oh, Slayer could never come back, like Pantera are freaking back and on tour right now. So yeah, it could definitely, anything could happen. So it's nice to have Pantera back. It's nice to have Slayer back. It's a huge win for metal. And I cannot wait to see what's next. We got to get out to one of these shows.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting to, be on top of the beat now with the Slayer, with everything that's going on. I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of stuff coming out over the next couple weeks, maybe, or maybe they're going to keep us in the dark and they're going to continue to tease us like they apparently have been.
But yeah, very exciting time. We're really happy to share with all of you. Let us know what you think of the big Slayer reunion in the comments. Like, subscribe, and check out that Loudwire merch store. We're going to be adding some other new things to it very soon. Also excited about that. Hail Slayer. Slayer!